The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
So right smack in the middle of the 1990s neo-noir renaissance, a scrappy team of cast and filmmakers arrived at the Cannes Film Festival to debut their latest independent film out of competition. All supported by a mystery marketing campaign based around the simple question,
who is Keyser Söze?
In the years following, as the movie began spreading person to person in basements all over suburban America, that question became a calling card for the movie literate. A shorthand way to show your cinema credentials. But what buzz there was before it came out pegged it to be a repeat of Tarantino's recent crime debut, Reservoir Dogs.
Did you put that together yourself, Einstein?
Afterwards, though,
What, do you got a team of monkeys working around the clock on this?
this long shot blindsided the movie-going public that mostly found it after the fact. With its unexpectedly elegant score, go f*** yourself dialogue, bewildering narrative, unusual characters, and an ending so cleverly crafted that it actually stood up to the promise that the writer envisaged. He said, "My hope will be that until the very last minute of the film, they're not quite sure what's going on."
Please, I beg of you, what went into the making of... Who cares? It's a movie. Get over it.
Hello, I'm your screen jockey, Justin Neal. Today, I'm going to talk about a staple of the movie nerd canon for the last 30 years, with each new generation delighting in the inevitable look on a friend's face as they watch the story they've been told unravel before their eyes. My older sister did that to me when it came out on video because I'd been too young to see it in the theater. She wanted to watch me watch the ending to a movie based entirely on misdirection created by an unreliable narrator. The greatest trick the filmmakers pulled was not the twist itself, but rather once you know it was all a ruse, you don't feel swindled, you feel astonished, and you want to watch it again. This is the story of The Usual Suspects and the twist that fooled us all.
Verbal, you know we're trying to help you.
Sure, and I appreciate that. And I want to help you, Agent Kuyan. I like cops. I would have liked to have been a Fed myself, but my CP always...
Verbal, you're not telling us everything. I know you know something.
After screening their feature debut at the 1993 Sundance Film Festival, writer Christopher McQuarrie pitched his director and high school friend Bryan Singer a title taken from a recent Spy magazine article he'd read, based on Claude Rains' famous line from 1943's Casablanca.
Round up the usual suspects.
McQuarrie also created a poster idea that displayed 5 criminals in a lineup, accompanied by the tagline, "All of you can go to hell." Singer liked it and a month later called and asked McQuarrie to write a pitch that he could shop around town. He came up with this. There's a guy being interrogated by another guy who's looking for a criminal. He's sitting in a big, messy office with lots of crap in it. And there's this bulletin board on the wall. And at the end of the film, when the guy who's doing the interrogating finally turns around and looks at the bulletin board after the other guy has left, he realizes that not only is this guy the guy he's looking for, but he's made up this entire story from the board. And Bryan said, "That's great, go with it." Not having a good jumping off point for the actual story, McQuarrie did what writers often do and stole some unfinished pages from his personal archive. He found a previously written scene that takes place on a boat about to explode after a drug deal gone wrong, only changing the camera angle to not reveal who is holding the pistol, fluidly turning the movie into an investigation into who that character is. But how do you throw an audience off the scent when they know the villain is most likely going to be one of the 5 main characters? It really was a thing where I wanted the audience to sincerely believe him, and an audience almost always believes the narrator. Structurally, McQuarrie used an interrogation as the skeleton of the whole piece, with its 2 characters, neither of whom is an idiot, creating constant conflict in their battle of wills. Interwoven with the interrogation are flashbacks representing the explanation for the events that took place. But these flashbacks are not omniscient and are told from Verbal's point of view. To misdirect the audience away from the fact that Verbal is an unreliable narrator, they needed to cast someone not known for playing the villain at a time when villains were often played by Europeans, especially from the UK.
Cancel the kitchen scraps for lepers and orphans. No more merciful beheadings.
and call off Christmas.
What is it that you think that the Brits bring to a Hollywood movie?
I genuinely think it's because Americans think we're inherently distrustful. They think, oh my God, your accent, you're so sneaky.
Hoping for at least a measly $3 million, buzz from the script eventually brought the budget to a less measly but still meager $6 million. This was a real indie film with a mid-20s-year-old, essentially freshman director, and everyone would be working for peanuts. So there was no money to throw at big names. They had to get creative and look for talent off the beaten path, and casting became a real nightmare.
All actors, in my opinion, labor under the delusion that they're playing other people. All actors ultimately play themselves. And the better you can play yourself, the better the actor you are, in my opinion.
It was even more of an issue than usual because they were being financed by distributors, not backed by the studio system. So they were dealing with a mentality that thought in terms of actors' domestic and foreign box office value, and they fought the casting choices the whole way. McQuarrie said later, it became a matter of knocking heads for a very long time. Cut to the Chazz, and representing the feds is custom agent Dave Coulion, played with a mouthful of dialogue by Chazz Palminteri.
What did you leave out of that testimony? I could be on the phone to Ruby Deemer in 10 minutes.
While still a relatively unknown Kevin Spacey was cast as the red herring Verbal Kint.
DA gave me immunity.
Not from me. You get no immunity from me, you piece of.
We shot the entire interrogation between Chazz and I in 5 days, and it went, and it was a lot.
Kevin and I started the movie. It was almost like we filmed the play.
Palminteri is tasked with carrying the lion's share of exposition, with several monologues necessitating David Mamet-style rapid-fire dictation.
Every criminal I have put in prison, every cop that owes me a favor, every creeping scumbag that walks the street for a living will know the name of Verbal Kint. Now you talk to me. All that precious immunity they seem so fit to grant you won't be worth the paper the contract put out on your life is printed on.
Currently disgraced actor Kevin Spacey was attached practically from the beginning, having approached Singer and McQuarrie after the Sundance screening of their first film.
I had a friend with me, and he said, boy, this guy's a good actor because I've seen him in movies before, and he didn't have that limp. He thought Spacey had the limp in real life. That person's no longer my friend. I don't hang out with idiots.
Spacey has the real tightrope to walk as the foil misleading not only the feds, but also us, the audience, and he was subsequently given his first Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his performance.
Well, whoever Keyser Söze is, I can tell you he's going to get gloriously drunk tonight.
These two performances are based in the present day, aided by an occasional third wheel played by curmudgeon extraordinaire Dan Hedaya, who I knew from Joe versus the Volcano and The Addams Family.
Why did I marry you?
Because I said yes.
Conversely, the eponymous criminals exist in a tale within the tale, so there is naturally more leeway to stretch the boundaries when cobbling together an unorthodox crew of repeat offenders, including a stand-up comic.
I could put you in Queens on the night of the hijacking.
Really? I live in Queens.
A lesser-tier Baldwin.
The truck with the guns, f***o. F***o.
A brooding Irish heartthrob.
Let's get back to that truck, so.
And a scene-stealing former Bond henchman.
What are you saying?
I say he'll flip you.
He'll what?
Flip you. Flip you for real.
Yeah, I'm shaking. Come on.
Okay.
Answer my question.
And you hit me in the back. Hello?
I'll start with the last one because it's by far the most memorable of the supporting characters, known only as Finster.
How many keys, you sucker?
In English, please.
Excuse me?
In English.
How many keys, you sucker? What the f?
A throwaway character on the page.
So I had a conversation with
written to die early and motivate others.
Bryan Singer, I remember, and I said, you know,
Benicio del Toro was given permission by director Singer.
It really doesn't matter what I say.
To really push the boundaries of acceptable dialogue delivery.
So I can go really far out with this and
arrived on set with a fully fleshed out character.
Really make it incomprehensible.
That was completely unintelligible to the other cast.
So who in the goddamn piss hell stole that fucking truck?
What did you say?
Who stole the truck?
He essentially created his own Mumbles, a character played by Dustin Hoffman in Warren Beatty's recent directorial effort, Dick Tracy. Another supporting character that is mostly incomprehensible.
Sometimes when you do that kind of stuff, it can look pretty pompous.
It's a risky move that literally dumbfounded his castmates, including youngest Baldwin brother Steven.
Oh, fine, I'm just a schmuck sitting here that's like supposed to understand all this.
Whose character McManus's main trait is turning any hint of violence into something homoerotic.
I'm the guy that's gonna get you. I just wanted you to know that.
Opposing Baldwin in most scenes is stand-up comedian turned actor Kevin Pollak.
My problem, man, is that you and Fence are off honeymooning in California while the rest of us are sitting here holding our dicks. Hey!
Playing serial criminal Todd Hockney.
You wanna dance?
Apparently it wasn't all just on-screen friction. Pollak thought Baldwin was a dreadful show-off, overcompensating for being the youngest of 4 brothers.
Okay, we believe you're a tough guy, so relax your crack and, just talk to me, man.
Kevin Pollak and I got along just fine on the picture, which is why I'm so shocked that Pollak has been saying things about me behind my back.
And lose the leather pants, please.
Rounding off the titular crew is Irish-born ladies' man Gabriel Byrne, who women flock to on set in between takes.
Sorry.
Most likely because of the accent.
Ensemble work I really like because it reminds me of the theatre, because it's 5 people with a common goal. And they're all playing off each other.
What we need to do is find Redfoot Keith and get the hell out of here now.
What we need to do is think.
Regardless, he's obviously the effortless alpha in a room full of alphas. I also can't forget Giancarlo Esposito as the world's most casual cigar-puffing FBI agent. This is a real smokers movie back when they could still do that. Anyway, pulling everyone together for this project might not have been easy, but what this offbeat group brings to the table creates something alchemical that is difficult to predict and impossible to design. The Usual Suspects begins with a flashback in which Dean Keaton is killed by a figure he calls Keyser, who sets the ship ablaze. The next day, police find 27 bodies and 2 survivors, a burned Hungarian mobster named Arkosh Kovács,
Keyser Söze!
and a disabled con man, Verbal Kint.
People say I talk too much.
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you to shut up.
The FBI interviews Kovács in the hospital while customs agent Dave Kuyan questions Verbal in LA, who recounts events leading to the massacre.
But I'd like to start at the lineup back in New York.
Can I get some coffee?
In a while. Let's talk about the lineup.
It starts 6 weeks earlier when Verbal, Keaton, and 3 other recidivist felons are arrested and put together in a New York lockup after some gun parts are stolen from a truck outside Queens.
Give me the keys, you sucker motherfucker!
Knock it off. Get back. Number 3, step forward.
For which they all deny any involvement.
So now I'd like to exercise my right to free assembly.
Why don't you just shut up?
It's not until later that we learn it was really Hockney that pulled the job, which is why he's the one laying down in the jail cell.
Fenster, will you relax? These guys don't have any probable cause.
Despite some bitter disagreements, they plan a heist against the police to retaliate, knocking over some NYPD cops running an illegal protection racket for smugglers and drug dealers to get around town, free from hassle by the local constabulary.
People know the I am!
What you do now, jerk off?
Relocating to Los Angeles with the stash of emeralds they confiscated, their fence puts them on a collision course with a mysterious lawyer named Kobayashi.
I work for Keyser Söze.
Who claims to work for a shadowy underlord named Keyser Söze.
Who's Keyser Söze?
Who is Keyser Söze?
Now, it's almost impossible to convey what that name meant to younger cinephiles in the late 90s. If you knew who Keyser Söze was, it meant you watched good movies, full stop. More than almost any reference I can think of, the name Keyser Söze was its own credential.
I'm telling you, it's Keyser Söze!
Before a digital supervillain wiped out half the universe, we had a Turkish sociopath kill his whole family to avoid shame and dishonor after his wife is raped by some Hungarian thugs in front of their children.
The way I hear it, Söze, is the way got a pitiless psycho up butcher. Okay?
He let one of them live to tell the tale, and the legend of Keyser Söze was born. Once his family is buried, Söze massacres the Hungarian mafia, their families, their friends, their businesses, and even the people who owe them money.
And like that, he's gone.
He becomes a spook story criminals tell at night.
Rat on your pop, and Keyser Söze will get you.
So this lawyer, Kobayashi, played with composed elegance by English character actor Pete Postlethwaite,
You set up the lineup. Yes. You are not to be released until I had come to see you.
informs them that they've all unwittingly stolen from Mr. Söze in the past,
That you did not know you stole from him is the only reason you are still alive.
and that Mr. Söze demands repayment by blowing up a shipment of cocaine.
All right, the debt, and you. How do we know you work for Söze?
I don't think that is very relevant, Mr. Hockney.
They balk at the coercion, of course, but Finster gets caught running and is executed on the beach off-screen, fulfilling his character's purpose,
We gotta bury him
With what?
with our hands.
while also giving Baldwin another chance to spit in Kevin Pollak's face for no reason. Thus threatened, the group assaults Kobayashi's entourage and are only thwarted when they are confronted with the leverage Söze has over them, something each of them are not willing to give up, even for their own mortality. When they ambush the Hungarian gang and their ship, however, no cocaine is found, and one by one they're betrayed and murdered by an unknown assailant. After Keaton is shot by a figure implied to be Keyser Söze, the ship explodes, leaving only the burn-ridden Hungarian gangster and the man telling us this story. Agent Kujan doesn't buy it though, and has Dean Keaton pegged as the mastermind behind it all, duping and using Verbal for his own purposes. Insulted, Verbal posts bail and stumbles out of the police station, and that's when everything changes. Customs Agent Kujan, armed with a cup of coffee and staring at a billboard covered in bureaucratic litter, finally peels back the curtain to reveal who the wizard really is. In appropriate noir fashion, a fax bearing a sketch identifying who the Hungarian from the boat believes is Keyser Söze comes in just as he gets away, no longer limping, ferried away in a now classical jag by Pete Postlethwaite. That means if Verbal Kent is Söze, and if Verbal has been lying to Kujan for the entire film, then nothing outside of the police station and the hospital might be true. All of the conversations, motivations, and even characters not mentioned by Agent Kujan are now existentially suspect, and we only have Kent's word that Finster is dead. Söze is such an urban legend that Kent could have simply used the name as cover for his own actions, or Verbal could have just been a lieutenant of the real Keyser Söze, who legend has it is not American. So who is Keyser Söze? It's possible no one is. I think it's more likely that Pete Postlethwaite's Kobayashi is the real Keyser Söze within the reality of the movie. In the end though, I don't think it matters, because who or why is not the point, but how. This is when I fell in love with movies that reward repeat viewings. I love the idea that everything you just watched makes sense superficially, exactly as you see on the surface, but below there is a parallel narrative going the whole time. Like in Fight Club, which came out 4 years later when I was a senior in high school. The second time around, you start to notice all the little things that you missed the first time. Or moments take on a different, sometimes opposing meaning entirely. It completely changes the way you watch the movie from then on. That being said, who I really want to applaud is John Ottman. He was both the editor and composer, which is extremely rare but an enormous advantage when you're working on such tight timetables with little cash flow. He also edited the entire movie on actual film, as opposed to the then recent ability to edit an entire movie digitally in the computer after having it scanned in the film. He also wanted to go against the trend of the time and include an elegant, at times almost romantic orchestral score to set itself apart from the pop culture track list prevalent at the time, personified by the soundtrack to the recent smash indie hit Pulp Fiction. And like Pulp Fiction, this movie stuck with the zeitgeist permanently, seemingly just under the surface, waiting to be discovered. I put on The Usual Suspects at least once a year for decades, and it's one of my favorite movies to show people the first time. I can't wait to show my boys when they're older. They already know that Darth Vader is Luke's father, even though they haven't yet seen The Empire Strikes Back. But they have no idea who Keyser Söze is, and that's the look I want to see.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. And like that, he's gone.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. There's still plenty of facts and trivia I didn't cover concerning the movie, especially after the fact. So if you have something you'd like to add, please write it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I've got plenty of essays coming down the pipeline. Oh, and if there's something you'd like to see, let me know below and I'll see what I can do. Now go watch a good movie and I'll catch you on the flip side.